Could I get somebody to give me an audio confirmation that you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do today, and probably won't take us the whole class. Apologize, I left my glasses at home, so while I'm not blind as a bat, my near vision is fairly low, and it's called getting old, and it just makes it a little bit harder for me to see things when I'm typing, but I'll do the best I can. Turn the chat on so I can see what's going on. All right, cool. So we're going to do a complete walkthrough on how to make a script. Now, none of you came to my class today. It was kind of funny. I made up a 4-page instruction set, and it's in a homework assignment. So if you went to my Ian, this is where it gets fun for me. If you go onto your My EMCC for this course, you'll see one that says making a web page script in Linux. And if you go in there, you'll see a come on. You'll see the set of directions, and there's a file in there, which is this 4-page description. I tried to take the time to really make this step by step. On the first page, you've got basically a little bit of background on how to do this, and then you've got what you actually have to type in. Make sure I get it right here. I think, oh, sorry, I just had my pages back. You have an introduction. You also have just an example. It has nothing to do with this. If you have ever logged into a server, a router, a switch, a cable modem, or any of those things, you're going to get a fairly simple interactive web page, because you have to use your browser to look at it. This is using the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And what I have you doing is you're going to be making a file called, sorry, let's keep it all lowercase, computer sh. Remember, that's what we use when we want to make a shell command. It doesn't make it an executable shell command, but it gets us started. We're going to create this in a regular text document editor. You know, whichever one you want to use. I used Xed, which is the one that comes with Mint. You know, and it works really well. It's very similar to Notepad in the Windows environment. When we're done editing this file, there's 2 ways we can actually open it up. If we're over in the graphical user environment, you know, and here's all our files in our home folder, and one of these is, you know, computer sh. Because that's an sh, and if you go to double click on it, it's going to ask you, do you want to open that to view it, in which case it will open it in Xed, Or do you want to open it in the terminal window, in which case it runs it? So you can choose which one you want to do, or you can just go to a terminal window, where you've got your command line interface, and we can go ahead and do, it's probably going to be super user do chmod plus X, and then computer SH. And that will actually change it from a text file into what the computer considers to be an executable file. I have put on the back page here, which is not required, but it's a really good set of information on how would I make this, this new script run every time I turn the computer on. And you can do that, and it tells you what folder you have to put it into and what additional command line instructions you have to have there so that it's going to start up each and every time. That way you'll refresh the data automatically when you do that. There's also information in here on how to set it up to run at a particular time of the day so that you can have it run every day at midnight or every day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. Because one of the things we're trying to do is come up with a way to display the information that is available in your computer about the computer. And the two that we're going to use are going to have to do with the commands. I just don't want to get them wrong here, sorry. So lscpu is one of the Linux commands, and it lists the CPU information. The other one is lshw. That lists the hardware associated with the computer. So just like you can do the ls command, and it's going to give you a list of all of the files and folders in a particular location, I can do lscpu, and it goes out and asks the computer. I mean, there's a script already written for that that'll give you the information just in your screen, in your terminal window. Same thing with the hardware. Now, what I have you do is I have you take that information. Now, lscpu doesn't really have many modifiers, so there's not much you can do with it, but we're going to output it to, I think that one I had you call sysinfo.txt. So it takes all the information that would normally be output on lscpu and just puts it into its own file. And as soon as you do that in the script, and the cool thing is every time you run this program, computer sh, it's going to redo this. So if you run it tomorrow, it's going to have tomorrow's information. You run it today, it's going to have today's information. It's not going to change a lot, but you're getting the idea. And the hardware one, again, we output this one. This time, though, we're going to use a modifier -short, because this list is really long, but we don't want the really long version. So we're going to do short, and we're going to output that to hardware. Sorry about the squeaking. .text. That, yeah, sorry. I knew something was wrong. I probably have not iterated this clearly enough. When we're outputting to different things, this overwrites. This appends. So when we run this lscpu output to sysinfo.txt, if there's already a sysinfo.txt, it will overwrite it. If we had done this, well, imagine you've run this program 3 or 4 times. This file just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. So we don't want to do that. If we were writing a log with a simple, piece of information on it, and we want it to just keep appending to the log, we would use the double arrow, but not when we just want to create today's current information for that. Any questions? All right. Let me go open this up. Might be easy to look at it in the editor. This is where it gets tricky. Not because it's tricky, but because I can barely see it. All right, so we want, and I have them named differently on my computer, so bear with me. So I have mine called HTML test 1, and you'll notice when I double clicked on it, and you can see it, I think, because I've got my desktop shared. You'll notice that there is a run-in terminal or a display. I'm just going to display it for right now. And here is the actual text. Here, minimize something over here. So we've got this. Let me make it a little bigger. So if you look at that, at the very top, we have the echo, and because what we're trying to do is write a file, and we're going to write the file, every place that says toms.html, you're going to be doing computer.html. And in the instructions, it says computer.html. So if you're following along in the instructions, then you'll be all set. So all I'm doing is the first line of my file is going to be that I'm going to write well, and I've got it wrong. You'll notice right here, this remove toms.html. I need to move that to the top before I start writing to it. There we go. That's better. So the very first thing I did was I removed any existing toms.html file. If I really want to be good here, I'm going to find Tom. Oops, shoot. Search for Tom's HTML, replace it with there we go. All right. Now at least we're all on the same page. So I get rid of any existing computer HTML. I'm now going to go in and start building my HTML page. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm just going to put in a head and a close head. We're not using it at this point, but it's what you normally would put at the top of a file. Any place that I've got what could be meta characters, like these arrows or things that are in quotes, then I have to tell the command lines like echo or grep that those are in there. And so I'm going to use just a single quote around them. And that tells the Linux commands that everything inside those is just text, and it's not to be treated as any part of a command line structure. Does that make sense? So if we look at the thing, we've got echo heads, with single quotes around it. next one simply just closes that off. You'll notice I use the -N. So the only thing you need, if you want your output, let me see some of these. So if we do echo -N, whatever we're doing, I'll run out of space here. All the way over here, echo /n, and then what we're echoing out, and then if we do this to file name, then what it means is that you're appending it, but you're going to put it on a new line. If I don't do this, leave the -N or the -N out, it will append the file, but it's just going to keep putting it in what will soon become a fairly hard for a human to read kind of thing. So if you want them to just keep writing it this way in the file, basically with carriage returns at the end, then you've got to use the -N as the modifier in the echo command. Then where there's a space, you get into the echo -N, and we set the body style. And what this does in this case is I'm just giving it some color. So we set the body style, and let me show you a web page that's helpful. So you can use any of these colors. I happen to go to an RGB, but I'm going to change it to royal blue. I like royal blue, so let's change that to royal blue. So I'm going to remove the hexadecimal RGB command modifier and just put in, I'm trying to remember the royal. Can't see it either place. Believe it or not, I can see it better on the screen. So capital R and a capital B. Remember, Linux likes to know exactly what you're talking about. Royal blue. So we just changed that color. So the background color should be royal blue. And we're going to send that to the computer.html. And then we're going to put a header in that says computer system information. And then we're going to, at any place you see that we're echoing BR, that just means we're putting in a line break. And so it's going to move down in your presentation when you actually go to display this as an HTML page. Otherwise, it's going to just string them all together, and it's going to be ugly. So that whole first section, where it starts with echo body and puts a header in, and then it starts getting information. You'll notice that the third line down says date. And so what we're going to do is we're going to output the date, and we're going to append it to the computer.html document. Then we're going to go in and we're going to echo just another header that says information from LSCPU. So the information about the CPU. Then we're going to go in and we're going to use our first grep command. And what we're going to do is we're going to look in the system info text file that we created at the top of the of this program. And we're going to look for what is the model name. And because if you remember what grep does is it looks in a file, it finds any line that includes that. Now, if we went in here, and I'll show you real quick. I'm going to flip back over to a terminal. If I do ls CPU, I get all of the information output. And you'll notice that one of the things that's output is model name. It's right there. So that line will be output in our HTML generating script as a line of text. So that's what happens right here with this grep model name. So it finds the one line in that sysinfo.txt file that we created, and it outputs it to the computer.html file. And then we put in a carriage return. Then we do the same thing. We do a grep for the CPU maximum. And then we do a grep for how many CPUs it has. I just have a space in here to give it a little clarity. I probably should put a space up there as well. Now we do information from LS hardware. And again, we go to grep and we pull in wherever it says memory. We grep anywhere where it says processor, and we grep wherever it says network. And then at the very bottom, we just echo and append, close the body of this HTML document. So all of that's spelled out. Now, in the directions file that you have online, so there's one page that, hopefully you can see me. I can't even see where the, yeah, you got it. So on one page, you've got all of that listed out step by step, right there. On the third page, you have all of those steps with an explanation of what each step does. So if you just copy this and don't understand what's going on, you should read the third page, which breaks it down line by line and explains what's going on. And again, the fourth page was just additional information so you could take it farther and go beyond that. So we've done all that. We now have a script. Let me save this. I'm actually going to file, save as. I'm going to change this to computer.sh. And now we're going to get out of here. Now, the cool thing is, you see right here, I wish I could make this bigger. I don't think I can. Oh, I can? Good. Cool. So right here, we've got the computer.sh. And if I double click on that, no, it's already open. That's why it's doing that. Let me switch over to terminal. If I do a list, there's the computer sh at the top. Oops. Make this one notch bigger. There, better, I can see it. So what I'm going to do here is chmod plus x computer.sh. And now if I do a list again, you'll notice it's now showing in green, which means that it's an executable. So now what I'm going to do, I think I need to do sudo./computer.sh. I need to put in my password. Oh. All right, well that's all right. It couldn't remove computer.html because it didn't yet exist. but it should have done everything else fine. Now, if we look back over here, maybe that was one too big. And now we have the computer HTML file. And if I double click it, there's what I just created. So it's got the royal blue in the background. It's got computer system information. It has the current date and time because I told it to put the date in. It has another header that says information from LSCPU and another header below with information from LSHW, the hardware list, and then those pieces of information that I wanted inside each of those. So now's a good time for questions. There's nobody in the class, only the people online can ask. Do you all feel confident that you're going to be able to do this? I guess people are using chat. Hold on. All right. Devin can't talk through a mic. Devin, you also asked, there was a over the holidays vacation script assignment, which at least when I looked this morning, nobody had done it because I really hadn't given good, clear enough directions. So I'm canceling that one and using this assignment instead. I've done a better job, I think, of explaining what I want you to do and get you through writing your first script. So hopefully that will work. And Weston, it's going to be almost exactly on Fedora. It's going to be the same. The only thing is you're going to use probably a different editor, but the chmod and the everything else is going to work the same. So if you read through that and still still do it step by step, the only thing that's different in Mint is that I'm using Xed, which you can download to use on Fedora, but it just happens to be a different, each different distro of Linux chooses its own basic editor, just like Windows uses Notepad, then you need to use something else. If you are, you can even go into Fedora, access your Google Drive if you have one, save a text file there that you manipulated on your Windows machine, saved it to the drive, and then open it from inside Fedora, and it's going to work fine there as well. And Devin, your question was, yeah, pretty much everything's due Tuesday because that's our last day of class. I will probably be taking late work up until Friday, but that's when I'm trying to get grades in, would be on Friday. It's a little bit flexible only because I don't think the campus really knows what to do with these half semester. They don't have a hard deadline for turning the grades in, but I have to put them all in or nothing, and most people don't want to wait very long for those. So Friday, 5 o'clock will be the deadline for everything. How's that? Let's go in and just, we're going to change a couple of things just to show you how easy it is. So I'm going to go back out to the, here. So this is our little folder. And I'm going to go in and I am going to, instead of, actually at the bottom here, I'm just going to do cat because cat is a good way of doing a longer series of work and outputting it. And I'm going to cat the sysinfo.txt. Then I'm going to output it to computer.html. So what that's going to do is echo only echoes a single line. Cat can echo an entire file, so it's going to display the entire file. So when I save this, and the cool thing here is I'm going to save this sh file, a script file. I don't have to re-chmod it. So I save that. I'm going to pop back over to the terminal. I only did the up arrow to pull up that, hit go again. It runs through it. And now I can go back to my website and hit the refresh button, and all of the information from close it. So what I just appended on the bottom of that was everything that you're going to be looking at from the system information, which is the LSCPU, LSCPU script that is available through either Linux or Fedora. These are Linux commands. They're not Mint commands or Fedora commands. They're just basic Linux commands. And if you run into an issue with that, then just go to a browser and type in what is the system information command in Fedora or whatever distro that you're running. Really shouldn't hold you back. I don't like the way this is displayed because I've got all of this information at the bottom. This is a good example of where what shows up in the command line. So if I go here and I do LSCPU, it gives me a fairly nice clean list. Architecture, CPU off, byte order, CPUs, online list, threads, cores, all this kind of stuff. And then the only place at the bottom is I get these flags, which would be ugly. But when I actually look here, let me make this a little bigger. I get all that basic information at the beginning, and then eventually I'll get down to where the flags start. I'd have to go search for them. So what we're doing is we're building, again, a script file through any text editor that we can find. It does not matter what it is, just save it as an SH or rename it as an SH when you're done. We then use the command chmod +X to computer SH, and all that does is it tells Linux to take this text file and turn it into a script file. It doesn't actually change the file. It adds an X to the the command. Here, let me. So we do a list -L, and we go up here and we look at one of these text files. Notice in this text file right here, if we look at all the permissions at the beginning, what's missing? There are no X's. You can't execute this file. But when we look at computer.sh, when we use the chmod, it went in and added an X to each of those categories. Remember, the first three, the RWX is for you, the second three are for your group, and the last three are for anyone. So anyone can execute computer.sh, with the exception that because it's in your own folder, only people that can get to it can actually execute it, which is also something I talk about in the document that we put out there, is that if you wanted this to be available for anybody else to access it, you'd have to put it in a public folder and share that public folder with the outside world. So when you do the chmod, you're basically adding that X component to this. And that's what gives you the executable command in the file structure. All right, what else do we want to do? Go back over it. So you're going to be bouncing between three things: a browser to look at your finished product, the text editor so that you can modify the file that you're using. And remember, I don't have to go in and do chmod but once. After that, it already knows it's executable. You don't have to change anything. Just that one time. And then after that, you can go ahead and just keep editing it and saving it. Don't forget to save it. So what else could we do that would be fun? We could, I think we definitely should put in an echo-n br append computer.html. Save. Now, I do have to, every time you modify it, the one thing you do have to do is go back here, and you're going to have to redo your sudo./computer.sh. That's what executes this command, this script. So if I want to update it, I've got to do that. What that does is it completely changes what your HTML file is. Once it's done, I pop back over here and I just hit the redo or refresh page. Oh, didn't take. What did I miss? All I was trying to do is, before I type this really long list here, at the bottom, it should have worked. Oh. So, and I can also check my work here, because I can always do a cat computer.sh to see my file. There's those two commands I just put in, echo-n, give me a line break, and append that. So this should be working. And I should be able to refresh this. There we go. So what I just did was I put a break line in between the information from LSHW and then the entire LS CPU information. I could go in here and let's change the font to white. Why not, right? So I'm going to do style background color equals that. So, I'm going to have to go to the browser. I forget my HTML. To change the text font in HTML. So font type, add font type, add size, font stuff. Okay, so we can set font size, control copy, pop back over to here. Go right beyond that, control V. Actually, I want to do, we'll do it larger anyway. Oh, that was wrong, sorry. And should be able to do font, color, white. Okay, let's try that. Save that. Go back over to here. Run that again. Go back over. Hit reload this page. Did I do something wrong? Body style, background color. Change the font size to 16. Font color to white. Got my semicolon. Got my semicolon. Cha. Should be okay. My font size, font color shown up here. So run it. Actually, we can do cat computer.html. And we do have the body style showing up right here. It does show it as font style and color. So I'm just trying to see if I could have sworn white was an approved color. Fine, I'm going to make it light yellow. So I'm going to make font color light yellow. And we're going to make background color red. Because everybody likes everything in your face, right? All right, and we go back over here. See, and once I've got these commands in here, I can just keep using the sudo computer that's going to run it. And then I can pop back over here, go to the file. I don't know, it's not liking, I'll have to do some research on why it doesn't like the HTML font color. But you can see, I mean, I'm pulling information directly out of system information. And if we look on so system commands for Linux. System information. Yeah, so here's 16 commands to check hardware information on Linux. So this is, make it bigger. So here's the LS CPU. Here's the LS hardware. And that was run in the short version. You got hardware information, just a slightly different mix of stuff. You've got list PCI, so you can see what's plugged into the PCI slots. LS SCSI, SCCI. LS USB, if you want to see what's on the USB hubs. LN, I haven't used that one, so I don't have to look into that. LNXI. LSBLK, list block devices, which is your disk partitions and stuff like that. Disk space of the file systems, so who's using what space. Python information, fdisk. That's not something you're going to output, that's to change it. Mounting information, check RAM. So some of these are not ones you would use for output, information about the processor, virtual files in a particular directory, CPU and memory information. So there's a lot of different applications. And all I had to do to find those was type in a search for system information commands in Linux. I could have typed in disk information commands in Linux. I could have typed in user information commands in Linux. User list information commands in Linux. So, I mean, if I can identify what kind of information I want, then I can start building my display to reflect the things that I want displayed there. Let's see. Can you comment? Let me just take a quick look. Oh, thanks, Noah. Let me try that. I thought I had it. Oh, that's right. I need one at the end as well. I had them in between, but not at the end. Noah pointed out the error here. So we've got font color yellow, and we have to put a semicolon at the end of that as well. Save that. I mean, do you have to go through some iterations of this? Yes, you do. Now we come back over here. Hit the refresh. And it still doesn't work. Noah's fault. Yeah, I don't know, no, that didn't help either. Unless I put it in the wrong place. Well, yeah, and Chris points out, are you the only ones that make mistakes? Of course not. You know, I have been around long enough to remember when the only way you wrote HTML was in Notepad. And then you would save it as your web files, and then you would FTP them to your web server. But that's been decades. That's how you used to make websites back in the late 80s and early 90s. Because you have to remember the internet really didn't exist before that. And I know at probably around 1992, I think I wrote my first website, and it was all manually entered HTML code. It's a language like anything else, and it's just been so long. I was using HTML as an example here, and I'd be the first one to admit something is amiss in that one body line. We obviously have been able to change we've changed the font size, and we have changed the background color, but something about the something about the text for the font color isn't quite right. So font color, but you know, go back here, we do a search for HTML font color. Font color attribute. See, font color equals. So we can do that separately, not in the body. Let's try that. I'm going to take it out of here. Anybody remember, is white all zeros or all Fs? One's white, one's black. So I got the syntax right. Oh, I got to put that in quotes. So, color equals. There we go. Let's try that. I'm not sure why I did that, but let's see if it choked on it. Yeah, I don't think I like that font color command either. I'll have to play with that. Some of you have had the HTML class recently. You're probably going to be better able to introduce some of the different stuff that you want. If you pulled up, just pull up on the screen here. So if you've ever logged into a router or a switch or a cable modem or any of that stuff, they all have screens like this, what you should see on your what's going on. And so actually, maybe Chris just pointed something out. Actually, it might have worked because I told it to do black ink. So might have to change that in a second. But if you look at what I've got right here with the Netgear Smart Wizard, now we haven't talked about input from a script. That's a separate issue, and we're not going to cover it in this class. But everything that you see in the white table, that's all stuff that gets pulled out of the device using these commands. So just realize that that's what these are doing. The only difference is that when you put this into what's probably a scripted HTML page, is that by changing the menu options on the left, will change which subroutines or which actual commands will be used to fill the display on the right side, which is in the white. But there's no reason why you couldn't write everything that you see as a command. Now, what you see on that is broken down into a table. So what they've done, I'm going to erase this. What they've done is, they've broken this down into a table, and you've got, router status, and then they put, a table, they end a cell basically, and then they have another cell that's got, hardware version, firmware version, graphical user interface language version. So it's got the version information. And then they finish that cell. And then they start a internet port and information. So they do a header, and they do, internet information. Because you'll notice that's just a title. There were no titles up under this section. They just put the version information, and this is all, mostly grep information. They're pulling that directly out of information that's available on information within it. Sometimes the tabs over here on the left will force rewrites of the files that you're grepping. So it's like, hey, refresh, or what are the basic settings? Well, when you click that basic setting button, what it should be doing is forcing a script to be run that refreshes the values, which will then be output through onto this screen. All of you could start doing this now with the information you have available. You might have to do a little bit of hunting in order to find out, well, we haven't talked about where do we go find the network information. So you go to Google, you type in, how do I look up Linux, or actually I probably write in network status script on Linux, something like that, or command on Linux. because those are there. They're already there. You don't have to reinvent them, but you have to know where to go find it and pull that information out. And then they've got the IP information here, and then you've got, a line, which is ending another cell, and you just work your way down until you've got all the stuff that you want. There's nothing magical about it. And every single device in the world can do this, and every single, I'm just using routers, switches, and cable modems because they're the ones where you see the simplest outlines, because they're not for everyday normal use. They're either for techies like us, or they're for the support personnel who need to dial into that modem or router and pull up this basic status information, because it's easier to use than going directly to things like LS CPU or LS hardware. You can go directly and just get them on a much more cleaner graphical user interface. But those graphical user interfaces are getting that information by using these basic commands. Any questions? All right, Devin is asking, what's due on Tuesday? There are two things that are due on Tuesday. I'd have to go look too. There's this one, which I just put on. I will take off. I'm going to take it off right now. There's no confusion, because I don't think anybody has uploaded it or done it. So bear with me. It really is hard for me to see. There we go. All right, so you see that there's a winter break homework script and winter break homework Linux article. I'm going to delete this one if I can. All right, so now you'll see that there's a winter break homework Linux article, which is already due. And then there's this one, which is writing a web page script in Linux, for which, if you open that, you will find a download version of all of the directions for it. And yes, modules 1 through 5. 1 through 5 are what's covered possibly on Tuesday's test. I want to try one last thing now that we know I was muffing up the color codes. So I'm going to go back up here, change this to FFFF. And in case you don't understand what those numbers relate to, so FF stands for red, FF stands for green, and FF stands for blue. Those are the values for the red, green, blue RGB color values that you can get in the HTML. 000000 is black, FF is white, anything else would be in between. If I wanted the background color to be red, I could change that to hexadecimal FF0000, which means all of the red, but none of the blue and none of the yellow. All of the red, none of the green, none of the blue, RGB. And save that. And then if we put all of the red, all of the green, and all of the blue in, we should get white. Let's try that. See how badly we can mess it up this time. And there's kind of no way but to oops, keep monkeying with it. Who knows? Let me look at the code behind here. All right. Well, in case you didn't know, on any website, you can always do a view source. I just have to find it without my glasses. So if we look at the source up here, we'll see we've got the head. Here's our body style. It kept the body in the background still as red. So I don't see the font color coming through. So let me go back and see, why doesn't it echo? There's something wrong with my, I don't know why that's not right. So this line right here is not being carried through. Oh, I know why. What? Who could pick up what I did wrong? Never wrote it to the file. That's why it was showing up as a line of text in the middle of turning it into a script. So let me save that. Actually, just to make sure this is right, I'm going to delete FF. No, we're going to make it blue. We're going to make the background bright blue. Yeah, that should be better. All right, now I got to figure out how to turn off the. Well, let me reopen it because. There we go. Yay! Patriots take it for a victory. So, if you have any questions, all I'm asking you to do is you go in, follow the directions, and you should be able to generate this. You're going to be using a text editor, you're going to be using a terminal, and you're going to be using a browser. You're going to go back and forth between those. What I would highly recommend is go to your text information, your text file, start it, get a few lines in there, save it as an SH file, like the directions say, go into your terminal and do your chmod to turn it into a executable file, execute it using the // and the file name, and then that'll create your new HTML file. And then pop into your browser or go into your file menu and double click it so your browser opens it. All of this should be spelled out in your homework. If I missed something, I would appreciate it if you would engage your head first, because there's always possible I missed a step. But you're all going into the IT field. And that means being able to solve problems, because there's a bazillion things out there. They change on a weekly basis. Doesn't mean if you can't figure it out and I've put something in there that's just not going to work, then shoot me an email and I will try to get right back to you, although I'll probably respond to the whole class if it's an issue that I really messed up on. But you saw what I did today. I popped onto Google. I asked for additional information. I asked for what's the syntax for changing the font color. If I wanted to embed this in a table, I'd pop in there and say, how do I format a table in HTML? And it would tell me. All of those things are available to you. So you just need to make sure that you engage your ability to go on there and do that. All right. Any questions? I think I deleted the right one, Devin. Yar, I mean, the one that I had in there about scripting, which was due over the homework, over the vacation. I don't believe anybody had done that. Nobody had as of this morning. I hope that's true. All right, so it's due tonight. Well, I had been hoping to do this in class, but there's nobody here. So yeah, let me change this to. All right, so I just changed it to be due on Tuesday. You can do it late until Friday at noon, but I need to be getting the grades in after that. Oh, Amanda popped in, I guess, but she has a headache. What are you confused about, Amanda? Well, the 1 o'clock class is computer applications for IT, and the 3 o'clock class is Linux. So it depends on which class you're trying to join. And I think, yeah, you're in the 3 o'clock. So the Linux has always been 3 o'clock. Probably all the Novocaine is still wearing off. We'll go with that. Well, I apologize if I said 1 p.m. Zoom. 3 p.m. Zoom. Well, anybody who wasn't here, I'll send an email out. You can watch the video. I'll have that up before I leave today. Sorry about the panic, Amanda. All right. Well, always remember that these are recorded, so you can always come in and watch them at a later time. I do apologize if you took that and a little harder. Especially on Thursdays, a lot of folks aren't here. They better be watching these because they're going to have a hard time next Tuesday if they don't watch, don't attend, don't go to the YouTube and watch them there. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, at 1 o'clock, my apologies. I was on Zoom at 1 o'clock, just a different class. Anyway, I'm going to sign off unless anybody's got any questions, and we will see you on Tuesday in class for our final exam on this, what seems like a really short class course. All right, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in a few days.